We're live. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. This is the third and final Rainwater Town Hall virtual question and answer forum. That's a mouthful. My name is Christopher H. Bilbrey, and I will be one of the two hosts. We'll be joined momentarily by our second host, Brandon Rudd. We are coming to you.
Let's go, Brandon.
Yes, we're on a clock. We are joined, obviously, by the man of the hour, and that would be Mr. Donald Rainwater. We are going to be answering questions from you, the audience. We would take this opportunity to ask you to please share this on all of your favorite social media channels and do what you can there. This is being broadcast to you from the Political Spotlight. Of course, that is our platform, and this is a chance for us to hear from the Hoosiers of the state and ask questions to the Libertarian candidate for governor of the state of Indiana. For those of you that are interested, you can check and the mascot Harley. Always love a good dog. That's good for a couple votes, I guarantee you. She's a cute puppy. That's a good dog. For those of you that are interested, you can check out rainwaterforindiana.com. It is on the screen. And while we are doing this town hall forum at the crawler below, you will find the information if you want to contact the campaign. If you want to donate, you can go to rainwaterforindiana.com, donate there. You can check about getting signs and do what you need to do there. So please check out rainwaterforindiana.com. And without further ado, we'll let you offer your opening statement.
Well, first of all, I want to thank you and Kate and Brandon, wherever he may be. Seriously, I want to thank the three of you for hosting these town halls, for taking care of all of the technology and the logistics. And of course, I would like to thank my campaign manager, Kristen Alexander, who coordinated all of this with you. You guys have made this successful so that people have the opportunity to ask questions and get answers. And more importantly, and I think this is something that I want to stress tonight, this gives you, the voter, the opportunity to exercise your right to make a decision as to whom you will vote for whom you will vote. Pardon me. If there are any English teachers out there, I apologize. I did not intend to leave that preposition out there by itself. And believe me, that's something that I strive to do properly, because it bugs me when I don't. That is one of those little details that is important to me. But something else that's important to me is the fact that one of the main reasons why I'm running for governor is I believe that we need to provide Hoosier voters with options. Someone asked me earlier today, I was doing an interview, and someone asked me, what sets you apart from the other two candidates. And I said, you know, while there are 3 people running for governor, I believe there are only 2 real choices, because I believe that both the Republican and the Democrat represent big government, big taxes, and big bureaucracy. And many of you probably remember Ronald Reagan said, you can't be for big government, big taxes, and big bureaucracy and still be for the little guy. Now, I am a big man, but I'm a little guy. I'm not a millionaire. I don't have I have not been a U.S. Senator. I have not been the superintendent of public instruction. I'm just an everyday average Hoosier. And so the option that I provide is somebody who believes in limited government, smaller government, lower taxes, more government accountability for how they spend your money. And most importantly, folks, I believe that we need to eliminate the government's inherent design to create dependency. We have entirely too many Hoosiers whose daily lives are dependent upon the government, not because that's what they want, but that's what the government has put them in. And I believe that we can reduce the size and scope of government and carefully and systematically help people who are trapped in dependency by our state government to be able to get out of that dependency. So there's my opening statement.
Well, that was a great opening statement, and I couldn't have said it better myself. As we get ready to head into these questions, I want to let everyone know that these are questions that are coming from you, the audience, and so we are happy that you guys have been able to do that, and happy to offer these questions out to Don. Okay, so we're going to start for the with the first question, which is kind of a grouping of questions coming from several different people. The first question is coming from Lauren, Lucas, Julie, and Jennifer, that all sent in very similar questions regarding immigration and their concerns about Indiana seeing some of the problems that have occurred in other cities across the country. And basically, the question to you is, as governor of Indiana, what will you do regarding the illegal immigrants and the flood of illegal immigrants to Indiana cities, and what can be done about this?
Well, so let me first say that our federal immigration system is broken. And it is a federal responsibility to fix this. We have laws in the state of Indiana, and as governor, it is your first responsibility to make sure that the laws are executed. That means that as citizens, we need to know what the laws are. And if we do not like the laws, we need to go to our legislators and get change in those laws. And the reality is all of the laws that we have in the state of Indiana, we all as citizens need to be actively engaged in knowing what the laws are and participating in getting those laws changed as need be. So, from the governor's perspective, we need to enforce current law. We also need to understand that when the federal government attempts to bring a large number of people to the state of Indiana, that there's a number of people that we can house, that we can have, and then there's a number of people that is too many and will create an undue burden and an unmanageable burden on a city or town. And we need to make sure that we don't allow the federal government, this is here again, one of the big things that we really need to focus on is the fact that the state of Indiana spends entirely too much time with its handout to the federal government going, please give us more money. Please give us more money. Oh, there's money that you'll give us if we'll just bend to your will. Please give us that money. And we've got to stop that. We've got to understand what the 9th and 10th Amendments mean. And that the federal government should not be allowed to overstep its bounds. And so hopefully you understand these are not simple situations. They are going to require a lot of your participation to help us make sure that the legislature does what they need to do, make sure that then we stand up to the federal government and do what we need to do. Because we need legal immigration in Indiana. We have a worker shortage. And so legal immigration will benefit us, but it's got to be done orderly, it's got to be done properly, and it has to be done within the bounds of the law. Hopefully that answers your question.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's fantastic. And I think that that would be a good place to bring in our second person here, Brandon, who is tardy, but finally here. Welcome, Brandon.
Hey, I'm right in time for question number 2.
Yeah, I think you're ready for question number 2, sir.
All right, well, let's go. I'm just gonna get rolling. So this question comes from Julie from Seymour. She says, what are your views about developing a plan for Indiana to be proactive in case of a catastrophic event, rather it be similar to 9/11, natural disaster, or something that could compare to what happened in East Palestine, Ohio? Palestine?
So there are already plans that are in place. The Indiana Department of Homeland Security is responsible for crisis management, and there are crisis management plans in place. Now, once I become governor, then it becomes my responsibility to review those plans, to ensure that they are correct and that they are complete, and that I feel that they are, and I'm going to use a word that probably isn't a word, but hopefully you'll know what I mean, implementable plans. Because having been in information technology for 25 years, I've worked on a lot of IT disaster recovery plans. And there are things that you can do on paper that when you go to do them, you realize, oh, we left out a step, or, oh, we're not able to do this way, because those plans are never tested. So I think it's very important here again that we identify what plans we have, we review them, we practice them and try them out, make sure that we know that we have included everything that we need to include, so that in the unfortunate event of a crisis or a catastrophic event, we have a plan and it is executable.
All right.
Very good. All right. So let me look here. It looks like the next question we have is from Jean Flora. And this question is, how are you going to generate state revenue once you repeal the property tax, excise tax, and others? And I know that we've covered the various plans for the tax, and I know you've talked about this in other town hall forums, but I think that this is an important question that folks need to hear. So let's kind of cover this again, if we could.
Sure. So first of all, let's reframe, if I can, this concept, because what we often hear are, well, if you remove this, how are you going to replace it? And the reality is that, first of all, we have to understand that it's not our job to give the state government all of the quote unquote revenue that it currently has. Our first job is to make state government accountable and justify what they currently need. Once we know what state government needs and why they need it, then we can say, here's a budget. And if in fact we are not projecting enough revenue to meet the budget, then we can have a contingency plan in place for that. But I want to make one thing really clear. There's an old adage that I heard growing up from salesmen that would be trying to sell you something at a significantly reduced price. And people would say, how can you sell that so cheaply? And the salesman would say, well, you know, we lose a little on every sale, but we make up for it in volume. And the concept is this: if we lower taxes in the state of Indiana, people will want to move here. We have a worker shortage. I know I heard that a couple of minutes ago, but I'm going to say it again. We have a worker shortage here in the state of Indiana. For every 100 available jobs, we only have about, I think it's 72 available workers to fill those jobs. Now, we want many new small businesses in Indiana to start and grow, because I believe that small business is the foundation of a solid economy. Transient corporations are not the foundation of a solid, sound economy. Ask the people in Anderson and Kokomo and Muncie. They've seen it. People on the east side of Indianapolis, where I grew up, they've seen it. When industry leaves, it decimates an economy. If small businesses are the foundation, it doesn't decimate the economy if one large corporation leaves. So I really want to make sure that we understand that the way that we generate, quote unquote, the needed revenue is by attracting new residents to the state of Indiana. And we do that with lower taxes, a higher quality of living. And then, as every economist that I've read and talked to and listened to has said, the people come first and the jobs will follow. We don't have to keep giving all of these sweetheart tax deals We've given, in the last 12 months, the state of Indiana has given Meta, the parent company for Facebook, and Amazon Web Services, the IT arm of Amazon, 35 and 50-year sales tax exemptions to build data centers here in the state of Indiana. I guarantee you that the perceived benefit is much higher than the real benefit to Hoosiers. And so we need to stop giving away the whole farm to get people to come here from a business perspective, from a corporate perspective. We need lower taxes in order to attract residents, new citizens to the state of Indiana. And then the businesses will come.
Yes, sir.
All right. Okay. Our next question is from someone named Troy, doesn't have where he's from. He asks, as a parent of 2 unvaccinated children, I'm concerned about Indiana placing children and parents on a registry list as if we were guns. Will you, if elected, forbid our state government from placing children and parents on a list created by the Children and Hoosier Immunization Registry program that could be used to target their constitutional rights?
So, first of all, I'm against having a gun registry, let alone a child registry. Now, the wording of this, will you, if elected, forbid our state government? As governor, I want you to understand, I can't forbid the legislature from passing a law. I can even veto that law, but this legislature can override my veto with a 50% plus 1 vote. So I want to make sure that you understand that if you want your legislature to not pass a terribly tyrannical law that would create an immunization registry program, I can work with you, but as governor, I need you. I need everyone to step up and reach out to their legislators and say, not here, not in Indiana. Now, unlike our current governor, I'll be there with you to do that because I don't believe that's appropriate. I believe that's government overreach. I don't want the government, I don't like it that they have a list of everybody who's got a driver's license.
Yeah, I like that. I very much agree. All right. Moving on here. We've had, again, a couple questions regarding education. This is a very important topic here in Indiana. We've got a couple questions from Joan and Richard that we've kind of pushed together. Aside from favoring school choice, how are we going to win back our public schools, which we all pay for, and Indiana spends half of its budget on, around $4 billion? These are his numbers, their numbers, not ours, to turn them around to be productive proponents of true academia.
So first of all, let's correct one thing so that we're all on the same page. When we talk about half of the state budget, we're talking about $11 billion.
Yeah.
Much bigger number.
Yeah.
and so this is important and on many levels. One of the things that the question asks, how are we going to win back our public schools? So first of all, let's qualify. If we have to win them back, who are we winning them back from? Because right now we have a Republican governor, a Republican supermajority in the legislature. The Republican governor has appointed the Republican Secretary of Education. The State Board of Education is pretty much appointed by the governor and other Republicans. So our entire school system, public school system, is currently run by Republicans. So the question is, how do we win back our public schools from our government? Well, it is a government agency. So the first thing that I would say is maybe we need to decentralize the power in public education. Our state constitution talks about the fact that we will fund common schools. It does not say that we will control and coerce common schools, but that's what goes on today. So I believe that the only way that you bust the monopoly, because that's what it is, public education, folks, is the worst possible monopoly in the state of Indiana. The only way you're going to get your public schools back is to walk away from them. If you think about this analogy, if you went to a restaurant and the food was awful, the service was awful, it was dirty, the plates were dirty, the silverware was dirty, but you went every night and you paid your bill. And as you were leaving, we got to get this restaurant needs to get better. They need better service and better food and a better cook and somebody to clean the dishes. This place needs to really get better. And the next night you come in and you order and you sit there and you eat bad food, cooked poorly. You understand the analogy. Night after night after night, you go and you give them your money and you sit there and eat, and then you complain on the way out. That's what we're doing with public education in the state of Indiana, friends. That's what we're doing. We're saying that we want a change, but we keep sending our children to the same bad situation. And the only way it will change is if we walk away. Is that hard? Yes. That's why I believe in universal school choice. Because the only way this works, the only way this gets better, in my opinion, is for people to be able to say, I'm taking my money and my child and I'm going somewhere else. And then maybe the legislature will say, oh, we better fix this because we can't just run on it anymore. Because, ladies and gentlemen, that's what they do. They're using your children as a political ploy to get your vote. And then they don't fix anything. And it needs to stop.
Absolutely.
Okay. Our next question is from someone named Brandon. Not sure where he's from. So we've seen lately in there have been a lot of legislative surveys where constituents are overwhelmingly favoring eliminating straight ticket voting.
Oh, I've been pushing for that for years.
Yeah. So if elected, will you push for its elimination? What are your thoughts on it, I guess, in general?
There you go. There's my thoughts. We need to get rid of it. There's only 6 states that still have straight ticket voting. We're one of the 6. I think we need to make it 5 as soon as possible.
Yeah.
I have a good feeling we're going to be the last, like everything
And
else.
I've told people, and people don't like to hear it, and I'm sorry if you disagree with me, but I believe not only do we need to get rid of straight ticket voting, we need to take political parties off the ballot altogether. We need to vote for the person, and you need to research the person, and you need to decide. When I research this person and I find out about all of the things that they're proposing and who they are and what they're about, and if you want to research their personal history, you research their personal history, and if you decide this is the person I want to vote for, that's who you should vote for. And party labels don't matter. I've said this for years. I'll say it again right now. I can tattoo unicorn on my forehead. It doesn't mean I am one.
Absolutely.
So the idea that I have an R next to my name or a D next to my name or an I next to my name or an L next to my name really shouldn't mean anything when you go vote. What should matter is the quality of the person, and is that person going to represent you and safeguard your individual rights when they're in office. Not give you what you want, because remember, sorry, but
no, you're fine.
I'll point this out. A government big enough to give you everything you want is also big enough to take everything you have.
Yeah, absolutely. That's very true. Thank you for that answer, and that's good. I hope that was pretty clear for Brandon in Whereverville.
Whereverville.
Yes.
I mean, I like your answer. I know my favorite Republican has pushed bills in the past to add party labels to more elected positions. So I'd like to see less of that as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's good. Okay. So moving on from there, let me see. It looks like is this the question from Amy? We have the question. Can you put the question up on the screen there? I don't know. Okay. Okay. So we've got a sorry. This is we're really flying with the seat of our pants here tonight. Okay. So we've got a question from Amy out of my home city, actually here in Muncie. Have questions about the Parents' Bill of Rights and the CHIRP program. The Parents' Bill of Rights for Indiana contradicts the Parents' Choice, State, CHINS, and CHIRP. Unless I'm reading it wrong, it sounds like it corners parents and children. Can you discuss your views on any of this and your thoughts on this?
Well, first of all, the Department of Child Services is a mess. Let's just agree that we need complete and utter, from the ground up, reform and reorganization of the Family and Social Services Administration, the Department of Child Services, and all of the things that go with that. Because the reality is that parents shouldn't need a Bill of Rights. We shouldn't have to, again, articulate what your rights are as parents. And when we have parents who are concerned that a government agency and government programs can actually infringe upon parental rights, that's a problem, and we need to fix it. And there are a ton of issues with DCS. I don't know how many of you are familiar with the fact that recently it was reported that children in the system, if you will, children that have been taken out of their homes, have been staying in DCS offices, one child at least for at least a month. This is unacceptable. This is not good government, folks. I talked to somebody who was a DCS worker several years ago who left DCS because of the situations that go on. And one of the things that frustrated them was they used to be able, if there was nowhere to house a child overnight, they used to be able to take the child home with them. So they had a bed to sleep in and food to eat. And they were told that legally they could no longer do that. Now, folks, children are our most important, valuable natural resource in the state of Indiana. It's not limestone, it's not corn, it's not soybeans, it's children. I am not going to break out into a Mariah Carey song, I promise. But I think it's very important that we make it clear children and their rights and safety need to come first. That's why I had an opportunity yesterday to do an event with some children in a high school government class in Fort Wayne. And somebody asked me about guns and gun violence and gun restrictions. And, I made it very clear. I said, the reality is that criminals are going to be criminals. They don't care what the laws are. What we really need to do is secure our schools properly. We have to protect our children. And gun laws that criminals and people with mental illness are not going to abide by are not going to do that. What will do that is making sure that we are more intent on securing our children than we are our banks or our politicians. And when we do that, then we've done something. But yes, these what I call vanity attempts to make it look good with things like the Parents' Bill of Rights, we need to make sure that we are protecting parents' rights and that government does not infringe upon those rights.
Absolutely.
All right. Is that the next question,
That was a 2
Kate?
for 1, by the way. I answered a question nobody asked.
Hey, you're always good for that. Too much. There's not anything wrong with too much information from an elected official. So I'm down for that.
Okay. I'll go ahead and looks like our next one is Michael from Hobart. He says, what is your commitment to ensuring Hoosiers that the elections in Indiana are authentic and secure?
Well, my commitment is helping a libertarian get elected Secretary of State in 2026. That's first of all, because the reality is we elected another Secretary of State, and it appears to me he spends more time overseas than he does doing his job. But that's just my opinion. First of all, the only way that we are going to ever reestablish the citizens, the voters' confidence in elections and voting is to make sure that every vote is recorded on a paper ballot and that every Hoosier is able to see their paper ballot after they vote. Voting on a machine and hoping that it gets recorded correctly isn't enough. I've heard too many people say we need to go back to paper ballots. Now, if we want to go back to paper ballots and a pencil or paper ballots and a pen, that's fine. If we want to use a machine that can print out a paper ballot and we see what the paper ballot is and it's not electronically recorded, it's the paper ballot and it goes into a box, I'm fine with that too. And if it takes more than a couple of hours to get results, if we know that they're accurate results and we trust, I'm fine with that. So I believe that we need to go back to basics. We need to reestablish not only confidence, but we need to reestablish when we have a primary, which is a taxpayer-funded election. Now, I'm against taxpayer-funded primaries. I wish we would do away with them and let Republicans pick all of their candidates at a convention. Let Democrats pick all of their candidates at a convention. Libertarians already do. And then we all get together and have a general election. But until we do that, we need more participation. Sitting on the sidelines doesn't help in making sure that our government provides us with the type of elections that we expect to have.
Absolutely. Okay, for this next question here, we've really been, like I said, flying from the seat of our pants on this one. I'm going to ask you a question that actually comes from one of our viewers currently, and I'm going to add to it a little bit. But this gentleman says that you quote from Ronald Reagan a lot. Now, I knowing you are the quote master. You use a lot of quotes, and I love that. I respect that. I think that I think that's very interesting, and I always like to hear your various quotes. But this gentleman says he quotes from Reagan a lot. Does anybody know why he became a libertarian? And from all the times I've ever talked to you, and for as long as I've known you, I don't think we've ever talked about this, because I tend to, the way I politic is I steal some from over here and I take some from here. And if I like what the Republican Party's saying, I'll take some of that and whatever. So I kind of look, I think that the way I look at it, the most of Americans do that. They're not just hardline one way or the other. My question to you with this gentleman's is why did you become a libertarian, and why are you where you are now?
All right. So I'll try to do this in under 15 minutes. Because there's a lot in that question.
Yeah.
But I think it's a valuable question because it also goes to the question, why in the world would you run for governor? Why would you do it twice? And don't you have anything better to do? So let me start with this. My father was a Ford employee, a member of the United Auto Workers Union for 41 years. We also were members of Windsor Village Baptist Church on the east side of Indianapolis, over by what at the time was Naval Avionics over in the 21st and Arlington Avenue area. So I got a steady diet of old-fashioned union employee Democrat philosophy and old-fashioned what they used to call the religious right philosophy. And so I was fortunate in that I was able to look at both. And as I grew up and as I learned things and as I developed my own personality and my own critical thinking skills, and yes, back then we were allowed to learn to think critically. We weren't told what to think. I realized that there was good and bad in both. And so I tried as best I could to assimilate the good and weed out the bad. So as I grew up, after I graduated high school, I went to college for a semester. My dad got laid off. I had to come home. I tooled around a little bit, and then I joined the Navy. And I was in the Navy from August of 1982 to April of 1990. Do you know who was president for most of that time?
Yep, Reagan.
Ronbo.
Yep.
I used to have, as a matter of fact, a Ronbo t-shirt, if you've ever seen that, with Rambo's body and Ronald Reagan's head on it with the long hair. It was hilarious. But that was the president of my coming of age. So yes, I quote Reagan a lot because I'm familiar with Reagan a lot. But I also like to quote Samuel Clemens, or Mark Twain, as some of you might know him. And I was not alive when Mark Twain was a thing, although my daughter probably thinks I was. And so, you know, the reality is that as I got older and I looked at government and I realized back in around 2015 that things in the state of Indiana were pretty much out of control. And I've told this story before. If you've heard it before, I'm sorry, I'm going to tell it real quick again. I was driving to work one day, and on the radio on WIBC, they had a commercial that said they wanted to raise the cigarette tax $2 per pack, and that they were doing it in order to raise money for the roads and to encourage people to stop smoking. And I said, what? You can't do both those things. Because if people stop smoking, you ain't going to have no money for the roads. And if you're raising money for the roads, it's because people are puffing their heads off. So this $2 tax, they say it's for both things, but it can't be. And I was offended intellectually. And I said, you know what? I'm done. I'm done having my government make it look like they think I'm stupid, because I'm not stupid. And anybody who's met me, you may not agree with me, but I'm pretty sure most people know I'm not stupid. So I decided it was time to get up off the couch and get involved. Couldn't join the Republican Party or the Democrat Party because I consider them the problem. And I'm not going to become part of the problem. I want to become part of the solution. So I looked at the Constitution Party. I looked at the Libertarian Party. I looked at being independent. And I settled on the fact that I felt the Libertarian Party most closely resembled my personal beliefs about the Constitution, about the role of government in our lives, and about individual freedom and the ability and the right to pursue my destiny without government constantly trying to insert itself in every aspect of my day. And so I joined the Libertarian Party because I wanted to run for office. I wanted to get involved. I wanted to try to become part of the solution, which is, to answer the question as well, why won't you run as a Republican? Because they're part of the problem.
Yes.
And I don't want to be part of the problem. I want to be part of the solution.
Absolutely. That's great.
Nice. All right.
So we got about 8 more minutes. Do we have another question?
Yes, sir.
I think we got one more here.
Pardon me.
So this one's been shortened, but essentially, what would you do as governor to help reduce the corruption in the Indiana government? For example, we have legislators, representatives who have authored legislation that will pump taxpayer money into their personal business. So what can you do about that type of corruption?
Well, the first thing we need to do, to be very honest with you, is we need to, for lack of a better way of saying it, I apologize if this sounds too gruff. We need to pressure the Indiana General Assembly into creating some ethics laws that are actually ethical. We have some of the weakest, most ineffective ethics laws of any state in the union. Our General Assembly, our bureaucrats, our elected officials are getting away with. I mean, we've got a sitting governor who was given an airplane ride out to Colorado by the gaming industry while they were trying to get legislation passed. To me, that's a no-no.
Yeah.
We have a sitting governor who has been sent on all kinds of junkets by the Indiana Economic Development Corporation. He swears up and down no taxpayer dollars were used. If you are functioning as the governor of the state of Indiana, the only people paying for anything you do should be the taxpayers, and it should all be on the taxpayers' ability to hold you accountable. This idea that, well, I went to China, but private corporations paid for it, but I was over there negotiating for them to come to the state of Indiana and do business. We got to stop this crap.
Yes.
Folks, this is part of the problem. Our ethics laws are non-existent. So whether you vote for me or, the left side or right side of an old candy bar, we've got to fix that. And the governor has to lead on that. The governor has to have a higher ethical standard for operating in government than what's going on today. We also need to start rooting out the corruption. As most of you probably have heard, $724 million of Medicaid overpayment. Now they say, oh, we made $1 billion accounting error in Medicaid. No, you didn't. You let $724 million go out the back door because you let people overbill you, and then you didn't have the backbone to go back and collect that money and get it back in to the state coffers where it was supposed to be. First of all, you got to call it what it is.
Yeah.
And then you got to fix it. And believe me, the one thing That will make a world of difference in how much you pay in taxes.
Yes.
Because if we root out all of the corruption, all the fraud, waste, and abuse, all of the overpayments, all of the contracts that just keep going perpetually, and nobody's ever held accountable for the fact that the work's not getting done, when we fix that, people will want to live here because the taxes will be very low.
Absolutely.
Sorry.
No, very good.
That's
That's
good.
great. And that takes us to the end. If you want to give just a real quick closing statement, I don't really know how you'll do better than that, but if you want to give a quick
Well, I don't know if I'll do better than that, but thank you again for watching this, whether you're watching it live or watching it on a recording later. Thank you for taking the time to be engaged in the process of determining who you want to vote for Indiana governor. It's your vote. It's not my vote. It's not Mike Braun's vote or Jennifer McCormick's vote. Your vote does not belong to the Republican Party, the Democrat Party. Your vote belongs to you. And I have one favor to ask. Whether it's me or not, please give your vote to the candidate you believe has earned it. Don't give it out of obligation to an organization or a label, or even worse, please don't give your vote to somebody you don't like in order to keep somebody you dislike more from getting elected. Make one of the three of us earn your vote. It's your vote, it's your right, and it is the most important thing that you can do between now and November 5th, other than breathe and love your family.
Absolutely. All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, you have heard it there from Mr. Donald Rainwater. This will conclude the third of these three Rainwater Town Hall forums. I want to thank you and your team for giving us the opportunity to host and put these out to the world. I'm very grateful for those of you that are watching this either live or via replay. Please share these links with everyone you know. Everyone needs to have an opportunity to hear this. This has been brought to you again by the Political Spotlight. We are a political podcast, political show. We air 5 nights a week live at 9 p.m. Sunday through Thursday, most of the time. Every now and then we're also Friday or Saturday. We do have a show tonight, and I do want to put in just a real quick little caveat that we didn't talk about, but for all of the big hubbub that's been going around, that's all I'm going to say. If you're interested in any more on that, I will tell you that besides this event, we did have Mr. Rainwater on our episode last night, episode 308. You can go back if you're interested in watching his response. You can go back and watch that. Aired last night. And for everyone that might assume that this is just we are a friendly podcast and a friendly little podcast, tune in to episode 309, which will air at 9 p.m. tonight. And you might see a little bit different than that. We're not maybe as friendly as some would assume, but we are very supportive of Mr. Rainwater, and he definitely has our support and our vote. We would ask you to please consider doing the same, and check him out if you have any more information. If you need to connect with him or look for how you can connect with him or get signs or whatever, please go to rainwaterforindiana.com and check that out there. And remember, early voting is going on now through early voting will wrap up at noon on Monday before the election. And then the election day is Tuesday, November 5th from 6 to 6. So there's plenty of time to get out there. You have no excuse not to vote. Please do that. It's important for us all. You guys are fantastic. Thank you for everything. And we will see you guys next time. Take care. Thank you very much. Goodbye.
Thank you very much, guys.
Yep. Have a
Thanks,
good one. Bye.